What's going on, everyone? You are listening to episode 37 of the Sports On broadcast. I am Tyler Edgerton, my host, Joe Fabiani. Joe, how's it going this week?
Another day in paradise, my friend.
I
How are
know,
you?
it's actually starting to warm up out there. Opening day kicked off. The
Got a
Phillies
nice
open the
walk in at the
season with
park.
a.
It was a good day.
What's up?
Got a nice walk in at the park today. It's a good day.
Yeah, exactly. I did not do that. I went to school. Anyway, so the Phillies open the season with a win on the road in Cincinnati, but it is not looking good for one of their former players. Jimmy Rollins did not make the Giants roster. So my question to you is, who will be the last '08 Philly standing?
Uh, well, I mean, that's an easy answer. It's Cole Hamels.
You know, it's so funny. I didn't even think of him first. How bad is that? He is
Uh,
33, however. I thought of
he's
Jason
still
Worth was
he's still
my.
at the top of his game.
What's up?
Cole's still at the top of his game. Jason Worth, I think, what's he? Is he playing this year at 39? He's got to be up there, 38, 39, I would think, right? Because he was older.
Cole Hamels is 33. J. Happ is 34. Joe Blanton's
Jay Happ.
35. And Jason Worth is 37, which I did not expect him to be 37 years old.
Oh, okay. He's 37.
Yeah, I would have expected him to because of that max contract that he got. I thought he would be the one playing so long, but evidently it's going to be Cole Hamels. You're right about that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he should be good for at least another 3 years, I would think. But yeah, I mean, Jason. I mean, Jason. It's not like Jason Worth is really. I mean, his play really hasn't deteriorated. I mean, I know he had a down year like 2 years ago, but um, I mean, he's played well for getting up there, I would say.
All right, well, let's switch over since we're going to go kind of across the national perspective here. Let's jump over to Adrian Peterson. He's visiting the New England Patriots. Perfect situation for him. Do you think he'll stick with them and sign?
I mean, it's definitely the best spot for him. If he wants to win a Super Bowl, I would think that if he ultimately decided to sign there, it'd be 16-0 or bust. I would think, with the addition of Brandon Cooks as well on that offense, it's going to be
Dynamic once again.
that I don't. That would be mind blowing if that was to happen. Um, but I mean, it would make sense. Like I don't know where else he would go other than maybe another younger team. I could think that maybe contend with maybe be Oakland that has a tough running back situation. But I mean, now today you saw that Marshawn Lynch is contemplating coming out of retirement and going to play for
Stole
Oakland.
the
So
words right out of my mouth.
yeah, so I think that's the best spot for him. Honestly, I think it'd make great headlines all season long if he signed there. So I mean, I think it's his best fit. I think, like I said last week, I don't think he'll sign until after the draft. But I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up there. How about you?
The only other place I could see him going would be to the Giants, who are desperate for a running back. Uh, yeah, I mean, New England is definitely the better place for him to contend for a championship if that's what his goal is. Again, like you just said, I really thought he would sign with Oakland or even take a look at them, but it doesn't seem like they are interested in him. They're more interested in Marshawn Lynch or
Right.
possibly getting somebody else in the draft. But it doesn't seem like they are interested in Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of surprising considering he's proved time and time again that he is a machine in terms of coming back from injury and returning to full speed. But I mean, he is older, and a lot of reports that I've seen are most executives view him as a committee back now, um, which I don't see how you could say that, but I mean, like I said, I think he'll sign after the draft, and I think that's his best spot to go. I mean, yeah, the Giants maybe, but I don't think that they're ready to contend for the Super Bowl as much as New England would be anyway.
Neither do I. I agree with that. Let's stay in the NFC East here. Tony Romo deciding to leave football, cut by the Cowboys, now
Oh
moving into
God.
the booth to replace Phil Simms, it seems like, with CBS. What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I mean, I would have expected him to go into media, but I can't believe that he got that job as his first media job. That's kind of mind blowing.
With no experience at all, yeah.
Yeah, with absolutely no experience. I'm not sure if he has a degree or anything, or he has a a past in broadcasting, but I guess obviously he tested well, which is good, but I just can't believe they put him on the number one team. I mean, I know Phil Simms, there was a lot of criticisms on him last season, and I really didn't enjoy watching any of those games. I mean, Jim Nantz is great, but Phil Simms was garbage last year, and obviously he needed to go. But it's definitely crazy to think that he's on that number one team. I'm not surprised that he's in the booth, but I hate that we're gonna have to have another Cowboy in the booth.
Yeah, seriously. Am I the only one who actually liked Phil Simms? I know his voice was a little annoying, but I don't know. Him and Jim Nantz is just one of those pairings that's original and works for me.
I feel like he seemed lost at times during the broadcast, or like he would just blurt something random out that wasn't going on at the time. I just felt like he was very up and down. But yeah, and I mean, I'm glad to see to see him be out of football in talking about Tony Romo. And I just want to say right now, the Hall of Fame talk for him is absolutely ludicrous. There's no chance that dude's getting in the Hall of Fame. No chance. Just look at his playoff record. Boom. That's it. Okay.
Well, it's kind of interesting when you think of Tony Romo, how tied his career is to the Philadelphia Eagles. You have the fact that he finally got over the hump and he beat us in the playoffs for his first playoff win. He was labeled before that. He was labeled a choker when he lost 44-6 game that every Eagle fan should know about. But even more than that, I mean, the fact that he threw his last touchdown pass, which you witnessed, against the Eagles.
I don't want to talk about that either.
I had to bring it up. But the fact that his career kind of ended when Jordan Hicks laid the hammer on him and broke his collarbone, that was the end of Tony Romo. So, I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, obviously he's tied to the Eagles. He's his rival. They're the rival Cowboys. But there are, throughout his entire career, there are key moments in Tony Romo's career that are tied to the Eagles directly.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that, if you're a starting quarterback in the same division for a really long time, you're going to have those battles. I mean, you can look. I mean, I know that the Eagles have dominated Eli and the Giants over the last few years, but I mean, you can look at those battles as well, and say that he would play some of his best games against us. But yeah, I mean, it did seem like it was almost like the last few years, especially, it seemed like he always lit us up whenever he was playing. I mean, I'm surprised to see him go. I think that he could have had a few other opportunities that he could have taken advantage of, but me and you talked about this last year on a couple of our shows, when he first got injured again, that the guy, he just, he couldn't stay healthy, unfortunately, and you hate a guy to be run out on injury like that, even though he is a Cowboys quarterback, but yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it's crazy to see him on that number one team.
Certainly. Let's talk about another injured player here. We got Derrick Rose injured again, who has an injury list longer than an NBA roster.
He's made of glass.
Is he done? He's done in my view.
I would think so. I mean, he's nowhere near the caliber of player that he was. But, I mean, I don't know. Crazier things have happened. We'll see, but I don't know why you would. I mean, he's made a bunch of money, especially on endorsements alone.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, and he robbed the Knicks this year. So, I would hope so, but I don't know. I mean, I would have thought his career was done over the last injury. So, it should be an interesting offseason, especially with how bad that front office situation and compared to their players went this season, and with Phil Jackson and those guys.
Phil Jackson will probably be out of there too. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because when Derrick Rose came out, he was obviously highly touted, but being the MVP, there was so much hype around him. You thought he was going to be that next Russell Westbrook. Yeah. And then he deteriorated. Literally, his knees and legs deteriorated.
Yeah. In the end, I guess his speed destroyed him. He ran right out of those knees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to see his his fall after being up there like that, and even him in college, how dominant he was with the ball in his hand. It's unfortunate. I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter what sport. It's a shame when a guy has to retire like that because of injury. But you know, I don't know how much more you can take it when you get major injuries like that. You know, but what seems to be like every year.
That's the thing. I feel like he's gonna come back, but he's not. He's gonna push it too hard, and because it is all lower leg injuries. I
Right.
think he's gonna struggle to stay in the NBA, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up as an assistant coach or something like that within the next 3 years.
Yeah, yeah, it's possible. I mean, you see, I mean, even just yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, with with Patrick Ewing taking over in Georgetown, and Jason Kidd's a coach now, and you see these former players rise a lot faster than you normally would have over the last few years in terms of getting into the coaching ranks. So I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
Let's talk about some good coaches and transition over to the NCAA championship. I personally didn't even watch it. Did you?
No, I did not. That's
How
terrible.
bad is that?
That's terrible.
Villanova's out. We
I'm sure
cut
we're
it
gonna
off.
get ripped by the rest of the guys on the site now, but yeah, no, we did.
Yeah, we definitely have some
That's so
diehard
bad.
diehard basketball fans. Mason, did you watch it?
Nah, I did not at all.
That's over 3. How bad is that? But anyway, UNC won. The one thing I did want to mention is we ran the 20 challenge through ESPN, and our winner was his username is Calculon814. And the only reason I mention that is because I can't get a hold of him. He is the winner of a free T-shirt. So if he's watching, he can hit us up, claim his free gear.
Yeah, come get your free stuff, man.
Yeah, seriously, we'll even throw in a koozie for you.
There you go.
All right, so last point before we head to break. This kind of stems off the question. Well, I'll get to the question in a second, but UConn's women's team lost in the Final Four, ending a 111-game win streak against the eventual champion, South Carolina. So the question is for you, Joe, and I'm going to have Mason chime in as well. Who is the most dominant coach in all of sports today?
Oh, dude, that's the layout. That's Bill Belichick.
See, that's the one that comes to mind easily, but I feel like I have to go with somebody else, someone out of the box. I thought of a few. Let's get Mason's answer first.
Well, I gotta agree with Joe. I think it's gotta be Bill Belichick. I mean, you got guys like Bruce Bochy and Greg Popovich, but Bill Belichick's got 5 rings. It's a dynasty in New
No,
England.
definitely.
It has to be him.
Yeah,
It's
he's got 5 rings, and what do you have? 53 guys on the active roster, and they're constantly switching guys and switching systems every year.
especially
I, I,
that team. They get rid of their veterans all the time.
yeah, I mean, not taking anything away from the other coaches that we've been fortunate enough to watch, and like he alluded to in Popovich and Bochy, those Giants losses still sting. But when you think about it, all the turnover on that roster, and not to say that the other sports are easier to win in championships, because championships aren't easy to win, but there's so many guys involved on a football team that it's remarkable to see what Belichick did over
Yeah.
the last decade.
I actually give the nod to some of the college coaches as well who deal with the roster turnover. So some outside the box names I thought of. This isn't a college name, but Steve Kerr has definitely dominated the NBA over the last 3 years, I would say. Of course, Popovich, like Mason mentioned. Nick Saban is another really good one. You even expand that roster in college to,
Yeah.
80, 90 players, and you have that turnover. Granted, he's getting the best recruits in the country. Gino Auriemma, obviously with UConn, 111-game win streak is nothing to smirk at. And then I have Coach K and John Calipari along with Bruce Bochy. But I feel like Coach K and Calipari, or Calipari, however you mention it, the way they have one and dones all the time, I think you have to give them a nod. However, they haven't had the same championship success as Bill
Right.
Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, Calipari is definitely a great coach because he basically turns his whole team over every year. But I mean, dude, when it comes to just the amount of numbers involved on a football team, I mean, you could talk about Saban as well, but like you said, he's getting the best recruits
Mhm.
in the country. I mean, there's guys leaving Alabama that can't get on the field that turn into studs at other programs. So I mean, when you look at it, I mean, yeah, that's an amazing feat for UConn. I mean, I'm not too familiar in the turnover rate. I doubt that there really is that much, because what else, I don't know, with the WNBA, I don't know if there's a limit on that, I'm not sure.
Right. Well, he's
But
also getting the best recruits. But as far as
yeah,
football
yeah,
goes, and I think the reason we have to crown Bill Belichick the best coach in sports right now is the fact that football is such an intricate game, and he also is very good at delegating. You know, he does have. I mean, yeah, he takes care of the defensive side of the ball, but he still has Matt Patricia there, and he has the offensive coordinator name. I can't think of. Help me out. Help me out.
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, he's the one who runs the offense, so he is very good at delegating, but there is so much to scheme for. It seems like every week he takes away the best player of the opposing team. So I would say that Bill Belichick is probably the top coach. I guess Mason disagrees. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the first half of our show. On the other side, we're going to play some birthday trivia and have some quick hit topics for you, so stay right
Nice.
there.
Let's get it going.
And Joe will test his knowledge of Philadelphia sports. We'll be right back.
Support our podcast by using mysportingedge.com/Amazon to make your next online purchase.
You're listening to SE Radio, brought to you by Sporting Edge, online at mysportingedge.com. Sporting Edge. Follow us on Twitter at Sporting Edge 1 and like us on Facebook by searching Sporting Edge.
Welcome back in, everybody, to episode 37 of the Sports On broadcast, brought to you by Sporting Edge and SE Radio. Joe, let's jump into some birthday trivia music. Mason, cue the music. Perfect. All right, you know how this game goes. I give you some hints. You got to guess who it is. So
Go.
let's start off with, he turns 29 on the 3rd, or turned 29 on the 3rd. First round pick in 2010. He was the highest ranked Eagles player in 2016. He was a Michigan alum. He has 230 career tackles and 29 sacks after being labeled a bust.
Come on, man.
You're, you're acting like you know who it is.
It's Brandon Graham.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Fun fact about Brandon Graham. 14 forced fumbles since he came into the league, but has only recovered 2 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty bad conversion rate, I would say.
You should have just said, who did we draft over Earl Thomas?
Yeah, but that would have been too obvious. I had to throw something in there.
I know. I'm just still very upset about it.
All
Even though he turned into a good player, I'm still upset about it.
I can tell. Anyway, jump into number 2 here. We have 3 lined up for you. So the second one turns 36 years old on the 8th.
Okay.
He played for 4 teams. He played for Philadelphia from 2002 until 2008. Again, was a first-round pick. Florida Gator alum. 19 career interceptions, two-time Pro Bowler. The first player to return an interception for 1,000 yards. And I'll give you his number if you can't think of who it is.
You said Florida alum. He was a first-round pick?
First-round pick in 2002.
And he how many interceptions?
19. So that obviously tells you he's a secondary player. I'll even narrow it and give you quarterback.
I mean, my brain is telling me Lito Shepherd right now.
Lito! Correct. You definitely looked it up or something.
No, it
Just kidding. All right. The third is going to turn 48 on the 7th. He played for 3 teams with the Eagles from 1995 until 1997. 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl 29 champion with the Seattle Seahawks. He had a famous line in a crucial game, which I'll mention in a bit. And you should definitely get this because I've told you multiple times that this was my first Philadelphia Eagles jersey as a kid.
Oh, man. Run through it for me one more time.
All right. 3 teams, Eagles from 1995 until 1997. 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl 29 champion with the Seahawks. My first Eagles jersey, for who? For what?
Ricky Waters.
Ding, ding, ding. Correct. All right, that's going to wrap up this episode's birthday trivia, and we're going to jump into some quick hit topics.
You almost had me on that. If you wouldn't have said that, I wouldn't have gotten it.
I said he had a famous line, but I figured I'd help you out. I'm generous today. So let's jump into our quick hit topics. I know we mentioned that, or I know it was listed that we are going to release mock draft part 1 this time, but rather than just go back and forth with our analysis, we are going to invite Alex back into the show the Wednesday before the draft, and we're going to do a live mock draft and make our selections there, and we'll have updated analysis for you guys. So let's jump into some quick hit topics instead. And we're going to start with Dario Saric, who scored his 1,000th point of the season.
He's a stud.
He is a stud.
There it is.
Dario Saric, 1,000 points this season. He was the 11th rookie in Sixers history to do so.
Yeah, I mean it's been a great story. Like we talked a little bit about last week, him getting pushed back down to that bench role, and then they traded Ilyasova, and he takes off. It's been a great story for Super Dario, and hopefully he finishes it up on his unfortunately on his minutes restriction, but I think he's done enough to win Rookie of the Year. Dude, it's been a great story. I mean, like we spoke about last week, it's fun at the beginning of the season to watch Embiid, and then we got our second half spoon. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Spoon.
that's weird.
Spoonful, maybe. No, that's
Our
but
dose. Our dose of Dario.
Our dose. There you go.
Dario Savage.
Thank you. There you go. But no, yeah. I mean, it's definitely on the Sixers are definitely on the upswing, and it was a bit intriguing to see that report yesterday with that Orlando Magic incident.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that with
I did.
being up on their board and Aaron Gordon being next to it. Yeah, I mean that was interesting, but I hope they wouldn't make a move like that. I think that you need to give all these guys all a chance to play at the same time, especially because I really just love what I hear from them every day. Especially
I can't get enough of the accent.
Yeah, but not even that. Just the leadership, that he shows in every interview, and last night was embarrassing for them to lose like that, and he came out and he took it on himself and really called out his teammates and basically was just apologizing to the fans that you don't see that every day.
Mm-hmm.
You usually see a bitter guy who doesn't really want to talk to the media, and this kid comes out and takes it on his shoulders, and he's on a minute restriction and he's still doing that. So I've just been really impressed with him.
We're going to have to get some theme music for him. Just to put the 1,000 point mark in perspective, he is also the only rookie to do so this season. Buddy Hield has 775 points, so he'll probably fall short of the 1,000 mark season with only, 5 games left? Or a handful of games left?
Unless he goes on a tear.
Yeah, dropping 35 a night or something like that. No, it would have to be like 50.
It'd be insane. It'd be an insane run. Yeah.
He'd be putting up Devin Booker points.
Yeah, right.
Let's transition into the final point.
Why did you have to say his name? Now I got to think about the fact that we drafted Jahlil Okafor over Booker.
Yeah, but Devin Booker has the capability to drop 70 points and still lose.
Yeah, well, the rest of his team is garbage, but I guess you can't really say much else for us right now.
Yeah, other than Dario Saric.
Yeah. Alone. I mean, and you have, like you said, you have Brandon Graham, but those two pass rushers in the middle. I mean, what other team really has that?
Joe, it looks like
Who's Tim?
no, Tim just commented. My bad. It looks like some people were not being able to hear our voices on that last cut. So let's just quickly review. So Timmy Jernigan, I mentioned that Benny Logan played 59 games, 120 solo tackles, 5.5 sacks. And Timmy Jernigan, who is 2 years younger, played in 43 games, 45 tackles, 13 sacks. And I was just making the point that with Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, all them, it's going to be a fearsome front for the Eagles in 2017. And then we were just discussing, is it another Band-Aid situation when they're telling us they're building for the future because Timmy Jernigan comes in on his final year of his rookie deal?
Right. Yeah, and like we were saying, that sucks. I'm sorry that you guys lost us for a bit, but like I was saying, I mean, it's going to be a fearsome front, especially having two defensive tackles that are going to be able to get after the passer, and you have Brandon Graham coming on as well, and you're going to have guys rotate on the other side with Vinny Curry and I'm sure Chris Long and maybe Steven Means. Oh my God, I know we forgot Marcus Smith.
Who?
But yeah, no, if he even makes the team. But yeah, I mean, when you really look at it, I think it's going to be one of the best fronts in the NFL this season in terms of defensive lines. And when you really break it down, I would say that he could earn a long-term deal here because they're going to have a lot of money coming off the books next year. The cap's going to go up, and and they could look to move on from other veteran players that haven't really worked out for them as well. So, they might be able to get a deal done where they can keep him and Fletcher Cox here and have a fearsome tandem in the middle of the line.
Certainly. All right, guys, that's going to wrap up the 37th episode of Sports Are On Broadcast. Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm going to turn it over to Joe. He's going to shut it down. Thanks to Mason. Joe, good job. And off you go.
Good work, boys. But all right, guys, as always, a lot of fun tonight. Sorry we lost you for a bit there. But as always, don't forget you can check us out at our website at mysportingedge.com for all your latest news, articles, and updates. Check us out on all of our social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook. And don't forget to go over to YouTube now and subscribe to our channel. And we'll be back here every Wednesday for as long as we can help it, barring any crazy setbacks. But, yeah, I mean, and as always, don't forget to hit us up on our hotline. It's been on the screen all day long. And it's 267-404-MySE. And that's it, guys. We'll see you next week.